So you want to scale, but where do you start? Regardless of your background or business, I'm sure you've thought about aiming higher. Well, I have none other than Justin Allen Montgomery on today's episode, who grew an 8-figure business after being a nurse practitioner. So, whatever your business is, have you considered turning it into an education platform? Or are you still trading your time for money? If passive income is something that you want to have in the next year, own course and profit from it with Justin Allen. I think there's not enough people who take advantage of it. So I'm really excited to hear why you are such with courses.
Yeah, so basically, I became a nurse practitioner in 2013. Worked in emergency departments, urgent cares, did all that kind of stuff, and I was sick and tired of working for other people. So basically, I started my own practice. Started some men's health clinics, and throughout that experience, I learned how to do it. And I really niched down. I learned how to start cash-based practices. I wanted to avoid insurance, cash-based practices. And then I thought to myself, I'm still stuck exchanging my time for dollars as people come see me. So I'm still having to exchange my time for money. And so I need to build a passive income, working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And so I decided to start a business called the Elite Nurse Practitioner on kind of what I thought about, what was going on in medicine essentially. And I started building an audience and people started to help people start practices if they're interested. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? So it was great side money, but I was still exchanging my time for dollars. So instead, I'm just gonna make a course. Let me just create a course on how to start a men's health practice. And so I just early in 7 days, and I was like, whoa, I mean, I'm onto something here. Like, like I'm onto something. So I was like, no, hell no. Yeah, yeah. I was as I had, I was maybe making about, after, expenses. I was as I had, I was maybe making about, after, expenses. I mean, getting a course every single month basically for keep operating your business. And this is just really a very part-time side hustle sort of a thing that you might be surprised does better than your business. That's what happened with me. And it only took, this course business only took 10 hours a week of my time. It was extremely passive. I was the only employee for the first 2.5, 3 years. I didn't have a single employee. I did it all myself, 10 hours a week. It's really
What were you
extremely
doing
easy.
for those 10 hours? Was it new
Eh,
content?
in the course, and I would just pay them for it. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty hands off, especially with all the automations.
How long would you say it takes for someone listening that's going, okay, I would love to have your numbers. I'd love to have just another asset, IP, something. If something happens to me, people can still learn. What do you need to start? If they're at ground zero, they've never done content before, does it really take 10 hours a week? Is that just a start? Does it taper off once you do your course?
Yeah, so to build it, to actually get the business started, you're gonna probably have to put about 80 to 120 hours into it to actually, build the business itself. Once it's built, the operational side of it's 10 hours a week. If you build it the right way.
And
And
is that
so
choosing to do the blogs like you're saying? Like, what if I said I want to just do something around publishing, let's say, and like if I didn't have something already, like to build the whole thing out, I don't want to do blogs. Once the course is done, can't you just sell it?
yeah, I mean you can, but the problem with that though is that that model's a little bit more difficult because the content is the engine behind the business. It establishes your authority and it establishes your credibility. Very few people are just going to buy a course from you because you say you're an expert at this. You kind of have to prove it. And you do that through the content basically. So, if you write articles about topics within your niche, you provide some free value to people, then you do establish your authority and your credibility. So, the model that I developed on how to start these things, content is really truly the foundation of the business. So it's not something that you want to skip.
I agree. It's the same thing I tell people with books. They help a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
Um, so the content, the blogs is really for not just for eyeballs, but for the traction to power the course.
Yeah, correct. So you kind of have to sell it in a way, you create this content, establishing your credibility, your authority, you provide some free value to people, and they usually will find you through the content, not necessarily your course. And so they'll land on your website, they start reading your articles, maybe they start watching some videos on YouTube or
I was
something.
just going to ask about YouTube. Do you recommend video?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, with the Elite Nurse Practitioner, I never created a video. It was just only articles, and it did well because I was targeting a professional base. I wasn't targeting just the general public. And so, but videos do very well, obviously. So, but yeah, I mean, it establishes your credibility, establishes your authority. People start watching your videos, they start reading your articles, and then the wheels start turning in their head. And then they might start thinking to themselves, well, you know what? I mean, if this guy can do it, maybe I can do it as well. And then they look at your courses, then they look at your masterminds, your mentorship programs, etc. And then that's when they actually purchase. If you just market your course and have zero content, you're probably not going to do very well.
I love that you're saying that, truly, because I know people that say, build a course this weekend and run Facebook ads to it, or Google, or just pick something. And it's like, who is this person?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. I mean, sure, you're going to generate a couple sales, but you're not going to build $1 million course business that way. You're just not going to. You have to be okay with developing consistent content on a regular basis. I mean, I recommend to people that I mentor with, I recommend that you're developing at least 2 to 3 pieces of content on a weekly basis. And that
Okay.
could be a couple articles and maybe one video or something. It doesn't have to be anything crazy or insane. It just needs to be enough to establish yourself as an authority figure in your space.
You're reminding me of my nutritionist who's encouraging the gym 2 to 3 times a week, too. Like, if you're trying to get in shape, it's probably not going to happen once a month. Where same thing with this. Like, if you want people to get, I've joked about it with the book. If you write one chapter a year, it's going to take a long time to finish the thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long game, and what happens to a lot of people in this space is that they build this course, and the course could be amazing. I mean, it really can, but it doesn't mean anything if no one trusts you or if no one's buying it. And what I tell people is that you have to develop this content regularly. And where most people fail is that they do the content regularly for 3 or 4 months and they're not seeing traction on it. But the thing is, they could be 2 months away from
Hmm.
greatness and they don't realize it. Like you have to be extremely consistent with it. I mean, there are times where I'll publish an article and it might get one like, it might get zero comments, like, and it basically looks like it just falls on deaf ears essentially. But I don't let that, I don't let that stop me. I just keep going. I just keep doing it, and some pieces of content are going to hit, and some are just aren't, are just not going to hit. But you have to be consistent with it, just like the gym. You're not going to see results in 2 months, but you could see results in 3 or 4 months if you just kept doing it. It's the same thing with the course business.
Now, what is realistic? Because I know there's people listening that have a wide variety of business. So what I'm hearing is like you had your defined target market to begin with, and you went all in that market, which makes a ton of sense, and obviously it worked. Um, where would you recommend people find more of their audience in an industry outside of yours?
Well, I mean, I think it comes down to, I mean, I think it first comes down to what your value proposition is going to be in your course business. So, like, you can't develop a real value proposition unless you have a identifiable target market. And so the equation for a value proposition that, that works for me and what I teach is basically, what problem affects a specific group of people and what is your solution to that problem? If you can answer those questions, then you have a course business. So the critical factor there is what specific demographic of people are you targeting? So before you even start the course business, you have to lay down that value proposition first and foremost because it literally is the foundation of the entire business. Everything operates from that value proposition. And so, so when I like, when I mentor people who are basically on the ground floor and don't really know where to start, I'll spend 2 to 4 hours with my client on developing a value proposition. And so, it's just basically who would be interested in what you're teaching essentially, like what's your business applicable to? Do you have a law firm? Well, then obviously you're going to teach lawyers, right? I mean, so it just really depends on it just depends on what your business is and who you want to teach. You really have to figure that out. You don't want to start a course business that just targets everybody. That is way too broad and it's
Mm-hmm.
probably going to fail. Unless you have millions of dollars to market. So the more specific your target demographic can be, the further your marketing dollars will go. And so it's extremely important that you really narrow that in. And I have something called the 1% rule. And so you only need to have 1% of like a specific profession to target to build $1 million course business. So as an example, if you're going to target, let's just as an example here, say you're going to target a specific kind of engineer, as an example, and there's 200,000 of those engineers in the United States. 1% is 2,000 of those engineers, right? If you're selling your course for $1,000, that's $2 million. You have $1 million course business. So like you don't need to target everybody. You only need to have a couple thousand customers and you will have $1 million course business.
It's pretty inspiring because 1% of any market is a lot of room to grow if you whether you want to get aggressive with it or not. And after the first year or two, I would assume you retain a high percentage of them,
Yeah.
and now you're growing that percentage.
Absolutely. With the Elite Nurse Practitioner CE business that I started, I think maybe in the first year I might have got maybe 0.5% market share. And then the second year was maybe about 1%. And then those people who bought a course from me, the lifetime value of that customer extended out because then they bought more they bought more, more courses. But then word got out amongst that 1% to other nurse practitioners. And so it just snowballed. And by the time 3 years went by, I had maybe 2.53% market share. And then at that point, you just do the math. I mean, it just exponentially grows. So yeah, it's a combination of you establish your authority and you get 0.5 to 1% of of a profession as an example. And those people start talking to other people and it just more or less establishes your authority. It just snowballs. And yeah, before you know it, you might get 2, 3, 5% market share. And at that point, you have an 8-figure business.
So I want to keep diving deeper here because you obviously know your stuff, and there's so many people that talk about courses and stuff, but you're just like spot on with all of this, and I love it. So thank you for
Yeah.
making this easy for me. Um, you literally have never ran any ads on any of the platforms. That's all organic.
No, 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 no. I would say it was about, I mean, if you trust Google Analytics, I'd say it's fairly accurate, but it's not 100%. But 50% of our course sales are organic in nature. They just find us on Google. They find a post on Instagram or whatever. So 50% is organic. The other 50% is paid traffic. And at the very beginning of starting a course business, and my specialty is continuing education course businesses. So, we're targeting professionals and providing them continued education. But at the beginning, you're going to have to spend some money to get the word out. If you rely solely on organic traffic, it is going to take 6 to 12 months to really gain any kind of significant traction. And so if you want to take a shortcut, then spend a little bit of money and just get the word out. And this is where a lot of people fail as well, is that they just want to advertise their course. They don't want to advertise anything else. They just want to promote their course and nothing else. It doesn't work that way. You are better off spending your money boosting and promoting your content than you are selling your
Oh,
course. So you have to spend some money on it, and you do not see a return on that immediately. If you put $1,000 towards an ad on Meta to sell your course, then you can see the immediate return back on your dollars, right? You can see how many people buy your course. But if you throw $1,000 boosting a video or an article or something, you're not going to see any kind of return on that whatsoever. And so, but it's a brand awareness thing. It's an engagement thing. You have to get the word out there. And then people start seeing your ads, they start seeing your content, they subscribe to your email list, they start following you. And then they start, they consume 8 to 10 pieces of content and then they buy a course from you. And it's almost impossible to track that back to what piece of content you promoted. So it's impossible to. So yeah, that's where a lot of people fail, is that you have to be okay spending some money to promote your content to get the word out. With my new business pro course start, where I teach people how to do this, I spent $50,000 in the first 2 months promoting content and doing nothing else. But in exchange for that, I got about 3,000 email subscribers, 6 or 7,000 followers on Facebook, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, I was able to build an audience fairly quickly. So yeah, that's where people fail. They need to be okay with that.
well, I appreciate the insight for that because whether you did or not, I just wanted to illustrate, whether you got to the 7 figures a year in the course or not, all organically or whatever. Like you can always advertise down the road as well. But what's impressive is you're saying from the start, I did this to jumpstart it. And what I picked up on also was you're not selling the course. You're promoting the thing, and it sounds like you have one main course, but you have other continuing ed ones that you could do as well. It's not just one course you're doing. It's this ecosystem, it sounds like, of everything they need for continuing education.
Yeah, correct. So, you develop the model that I had, the model that I present to people with this who are interested in doing this is that you develop a flagship course. You develop one flagship course that basically it lays the foundation for all the rest of your courses. It truly is the solution to the problem that you develop in your value proposition. And then every other course from there just feeds off of that flagship product. And and yeah, so you listen to your customer and you just listen to what they're complaining about, you listen to what their problems are, and you develop solutions for it. It's not rocket science, but you have to listen to your customer. You can't just shove shit down their throat. Like you can't just create something and shove it down their throat. It doesn't work that way. You need to listen to them and then develop a solution to the problem that they have. So yeah, I mean, pretty much you have to promote content, you have to develop that audience, and then you can start selling courses to them. Um, Building your audience is one of the most critical components of a continuing education course business that has a long life to it. Many people start a course business and they develop a course on how to, oh, I don't know, flip multi-family properties or something. And they develop this one course and they sell it and they never develop any other courses whatsoever. They never develop really any kind of content. They don't build an audience whatsoever. And so the lifetime value of your customer is one sale. That's it. They move on with life. A business like that is almost impossible to scale. You really need to develop that lifetime value of the customer. And so you need to develop multiple courses. You need to build that audience because that audience is what's going to feed the lifespan of that course business. And most people don't build an audience. Like you really need to build an audience. You need to build a fan base. And people might say a fan base. Yeah, a fan base. I mean, sure, I taught people how to start cash-based medical practices. I mean, I know it's the most thrilling subject in the world, you know, but
It
I
worked
built an
though.
audience. It worked, right? I built an audience and I built fans around it. Like, there's something for everybody basically. And so you'd be amazed what kind of audience you can build with whatever topic that you want.
What would you say the signature course should be sold for? Because I know people saying 37 bucks, 197, 500, 1,000, 2,000. I mean, from a statistical standpoint, obviously the higher it is, the less people you need. But do you find that there's a sweet spot for the signature? And then what about the other additional courses that they you can cross promote and upsell to?
Well, I think it really comes down to, I mean, it's impossible to answer that question without knowing what it is that you're doing. I mean, if you create a course teaching, I mean, let's just do two examples here. If you're going to create a course teaching neurosurgeons how to do something very, very specific, you're going to be able to sell that course for $10,000 because it's a neurosurgeon who makes $1 million a year. $10,000 to them is nothing. They make that in a day, right? If you are going to target, oh, I don't know, brand new real estate agents, right? They're broke, probably, and you're going to teach them how to do something, maybe how to get new clients or something. I mean, you might be able to sell that for 299, maybe. I mean, they're broke. So it really depends on who you're going to be selling it to. So it really just comes down to who your target demographic is. And I think that if you want to have a continuing education course business, um, that's the beautiful thing about a continuing education course business is that you're targeting professionals who have master's degrees, doctorate degrees, professional degrees. These people are making six figures a year in general. So they have a disposable income. So you're going to be able to sell that product for a premium compared to just selling it to Joe Schmo, right? So to answer your question, just as just a general average, I suppose, is that if you're targeting professionals, okay, and like I said, that's what I specialize in. If you're targeting professionals, lawyers, accountants, engineers, business owners, computer programmers, doctors, nurses, whatever. If you're targeting professionals, you can probably sell those courses for anywhere between $499 to 1,500 bucks, something like that. And that's pretty reasonable. And then the secondary products, it really depends on what you're teaching, but those secondary products can be anywhere between, 299 to, 1,500, $2,000. So it really just depends on what you're teaching and who you're targeting.
Well, I appreciate that insight as well because I know that's a common one too. People, I want to do a course. What should I sell it for? And obviously it depends. Um, Talk to me about the continuing education. Can
Yeah.
any industry turn this into a continuing education thing? And even for the existing ones like dentists, medical practitioners, how do you get certified, accredited, whatever you need to? Because I know there's certain ones have different bodies and boards and all of like, how do you get it to count for their CE, like with a dentist?
Yeah. So let's first talk about what continuing education is first, and then let's talk about the accreditation process. So, I mean, many people listening to this might not have any clue what continuing education really is. So, continuing education is basically you're providing education to an already established professional, right? These can be licensed professionals. So, a realtor has to have a certain amount of CE hours. A teacher has to have a certain amount of CE hours a year. Doctors, nurses, lawyers, engineers, accountants, etc. Right? So, continuing education is a requirement for these people. That's why this business model is beautiful. The demand's already built in. So these professionals have to have a certain amount of continuing education credits or hours. It's defined differently depending on what profession you are. It's CE hours or CE credits. They have to have a certain amount of those every year to basically maintain their license, to basically to keep working. They don't have a choice. It's not optional. It is a requirement. And so the demand's built in. It's beautiful, right? And so uh, you build a continuing education course, and you're going to have demand for it right from the get-go. And another beautiful thing about continuing education as well is that oftentimes the professionals not even spending their own money, they're spending their employer's money. Most professionals have a something called a CE stipend, which is given by their employer. It can be anywhere between $500 a year to $5,000 a year. And so it's typically a use it or lose it kind of a thing. And so they just have to buy continuing education courses to get their CE credits or CE hours. And what you'll find is that December is going to be your best month because it's use it or lose it. And people are just going to have to, they just have to spend the money or they're going to lose it. So December is always going to be your best month. And yeah, so, there's the continued education where you target professionals that require CE hours or CE credits. Now, there's also continuing education that doesn't really award any kind of CE credits or CE hours. So that would be something like, maybe you're teaching a certain kind of programmer how to learn new code or whatever. They don't necessarily need CE credits or CE
Mm-hmm.
hours to maintain their job, but they need to keep learning to, be competitive essentially, right? So it's the same thing as business owners. I mean, many of us are going to take courses on how to, I don't know, let's just say leverage artificial intelligence for marketing on Meta as an example. I mean, I don't need CE hours as a business owner, but I do need continuing education if I want to stay on top of the game, right? So there's two models there. But to answer your other question about the accreditation component of it, so if you're going to target licensed professionals, you have to become accredited to actually offer the CE hour or the CE credit with your courses. And so that process it's actually a lot easier than people think. It's mostly pay to play. Most of these accreditation bodies are for-profit organizations. They want you to be accredited because they want you to have to keep paying them their yearly fee. So they want you to be accredited. They're
They want
going to
you
make it.
continuing.
That's right, right? They want you to be continuing. So they're going to make the process as easy as possible because they want you to be accredited because that's how they make money. So it's pay to play. You tell them what they want to hear. You fill out applications. You just have to go through the process. It can be kind of a pain in the ass, but at the end of the day, it's totally worth it because once you become accredited, now you can offer CE credit, CE hours, and now the demand truly is going to be there for professionals. So, I mean, it's a beautiful business model. It really is.
I appreciate the insight again. You got me thinking. Obviously, we help people with publishing, but also the marketing side of things too. Like most businesses don't really know how to market that well, or even just a website overhaul, or just all the basic stuff we know. I'm shocked at how many are still operating like it's 2005 or 2000. So everyone's talking like, oh, AI and all this stuff. I'm like, bro, you just need to like put your website on, get it off Wix. Like, just start there this week. Like, don't even worry about the AI.
Right. Like, dude, you don't have a Google business listing? Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, a lot of people are really truly stuck way in the past. And so, I mean, there are so many opportunities here, guys. Like, with artificial intelligence and everything that's happening right now, like if you can get really good at one of these things, you can teach people how to do this stuff and make a lot of money. I know someone who teaches businesses and government agencies. Okay, she's just a consultant. This is all she is. Okay, it's a one woman show, and she teaches businesses and government agencies on how to basically build their own AI agent. That's all she does. And the reason people find her is because she has a lot of content talking about it. And people see it, they read it. Okay, this woman knows what she's talking about. They book appointments with her, and she charges $100,000 to go into a business and build AI agents for them. I mean, this woman makes millions of dollars a year. I mean, there's so much opportunity out there, guys. Like, you just got to find your niche, figure it out. And then another beautiful thing about artificial intelligence, too, is that the process of building a course 4 or 5 years ago. So when I got started 5 years ago, there was really no such thing as Chat GPT. I had to build courses from my mind. I had to get it in PowerPoint and actually build a course. Now with artificial intelligence, you can build out these courses so fast. I mean, it is absolutely truly amazing. I have a client right now who's using a combination of Gemini and Claude, and she's building out a very robust continuing education course right now targeting medical professionals. And she was able to build out like a 20-hour course in a matter of a day. I mean, it absolutely blows my mind. So, like, if you're not using these tools, you're a fool.
I love the honesty, and I loved the very, very ever so slight hesitation because I could tell you were thinking it probably wasn't even a full day, but
I think it was like 6 hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned Claude. How would you define like using Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT? Is it really whatever is going to work in your best interest? Obviously, if it's coding, one's better than the other. I know Claude I highly recommend for writing if you're trying to write stuff out more than ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is kind of like one size fits all.
Yeah. I think that it really depends on what kind of course you're creating. If you're creating stuff that's more in the I don't know how to define this, more of the social realm, I guess, then ChatGPT works very well for that. I find ChatGPT to be very, very good with marketing stuff. Same thing with Gemini as well. So I feel like ChatGPT and Gemini are really good for more of like those more subjective social kind of
Mm-hmm.
things. And then Claude, especially, if you're going to be creating a course that's extremely technical in nature, you're probably going to want to use something like Claude. Gemini works very well for that as well. I probably would avoid ChatGPT. I find ChatGPT to be the one that's more guilty of just making up stuff. And you don't want to be making up stuff if you're creating a very technical course. So,
Hallucinations galore.
yeah, like sometimes it's absolutely ridiculous. But
Entertaining
there's a
though.
pro. It's entertaining. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're like, what are you talking about? I think there was that. I don't know. This was like a year.
27 sentence 27 line run-on sentence, just da, 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 da. Like what? Were you
Yeah.
drinking this weekend?
Right, right. And then I think someone's like used ChatGPT a year ago or something and asked it to like create a picture of the founding fathers, and it was just like a bunch of black women. It was like, what? Like, just completely made this up, you know? And
It's like in
yeah, so
school,
Chat,
the answer is always C.
right. But yeah, no, I think if I was to just to pick one, you know, let's say if you just want to create just like if you just wanted just one LLM to use, I would probably use Gemini. Like if you're just on a very tight budget and you want to just get good at one of them, I would say Gemini is probably going to be your better bet.
Plus, uh, I think the subscription, the way they have it now, you get some Veo 3 credits too, and some of the other stuff like Notebook LM.
Yeah, no, you do. You can sit there and create videos and stuff. The image generation is actually pretty solid on it too. ChatGPT's gotten pretty good image generation as well, but you got to be very, very specific when you're prompting it. And there are so many other third-party programs that you can use too. Like, I mean, you can use a variety of different programs. You can use, use the LLM to give you the content of the course and then use other programs to develop the slides and the videos and graphics and that sort of thing. So you really need to try to use a variety of different tools and then get good at those. You really only need like three tools and get really good at those, and then you can really develop a pretty amazing course.
It's inspiring. I've always been a big fan of courses. It's one of the reasons I was excited to feature you and have you on and share because it's just like publishing. Everyone knows they need a book. Everyone knows they need a course, but how many people are doing it? And there's very few people, I'd say, yeah, that are doing courses well. Everyone's got their own little thing, and I've signed up for them. I'm always trying to learn continuing education. Also, I'm like, what in the actual hell is this? Like, it's a
Yeah.
Word document with 7 links on it, and I'm like, you didn't have exactly $0 for a free WordPress, like to even just put it in there and password protect the page. What would you recommend as far as where do you host the course and all that, aside from my jokes? But seriously, like what do you recommend? Probably not a Word doc.
Man, the problem is it's not a joke. That's actually the reality of a lot of people's courses. Like
And they're selling
I've
them for thousands of dollars. Like,
oh I
it's no
yeah,
wonder the
and
industry has a bad rep.
that's exactly right. People create just complete dog crap courses, and it really leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. I mean, I have seen, I have some friends in the merger and acquisition space, and some of them buy course businesses, and they've showed me some of the course businesses that have been, shown to them, and like it is absolute complete garbage, but these people are making millions of dollars a year, and
Good
so.
MRR for investing, but it needs a little
Yeah,
graphic
it's
design.
yeah, the customer experience is not that great. And so those businesses are eventually just going to die out. So like if you can create an actual solid course and make it the user experience you know, pretty solid and make it easy to navigate with graphics and make it nice, you're going to do well. Your return rate's going to be very, very low. But to answer your question in terms of hosting courses, there are so many course hosting platforms out there. I mean, Kajabi is probably one of the better ones. It's a little technical to learn, but once you learn how to use it, it actually it's pretty good. I mean, it's an all-in-one platform, email marketing. You can put your website, you can build your landing pages on it, etc. Teachable's a really easy one.
Hmm.
If you want something that's just very easy to load a course onto that a third grader can use, Teachable's, really, really good too. So I mean, I'll just leave it at those two. If you want something super easy, Teachable's great. If you want something a little bit more complex, Kajabi's probably
I
one of
want
the
to
better
throw in
ones.
a third. What do you think of Thinkific?
Yeah, Thinkific's pretty good too. I like Thinkific. I'd say it's kind of a little bit of a in between those two.
Okay, that's fair. So really, the platform is more. It's up to you.
Yeah, the platform doesn't matter.
Because I know
I
there's some newer ones, and I know some have more of a community component, some don't. Some have bulletin boards, some have this, and but ultimately, if you can, I mean, All joking aside, you really could take even a basic WordPress site, pipe in some Vimeo videos, and have those modules through a plugin or something, and even that's better than a friggin' Word doc.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely self-host it on your WordPress website if you wanted to, as long as it's behind a paywall or something. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. I think that where people fail. So I created something called the five pillars of success for developing a course business, and one of those pillars is stop focusing on the technical details. Just get the damn business started. Like, so many people get stuck in analysis paralysis over what course hosting platform should I use, what email marketing platform should I use, all of this kind of stuff. Listen, it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. People care about the content of the course, and so that's what you need to be focusing on. You need to be focusing on building an audience, consistent content, and creating a pretty solid course. If you do that, the technical details on the back end, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, just get the business started.
What are the other four? Great point, but what are the other four, real quick?
Yeah, sure. So there's five pillars of success, as I call them, the pro course start pillars of success. Number one is identify a problem in your profession and deliver a solution to it. So that's like developing your value proposition, basically, right? Like, that's going to lay the foundation of your entire course business. So identify a problem in your profession and deliver a solution to it. Pillar number two is marketing is the number one function of your business. It's the number one function of your business. You better get good at it. You better understand how to market. I do not think it's a good idea to just hire a marketing agency and hope that they drive traffic to your website and your course. You, as the business owner, you really need to understand marketing, and so it is the number one function of your business. It just is. Number three is provide consistent, valuable content on a regular basis. I mean, I already talked about, why that's important. Number four is focus on income generating activities, not those technical details. Like I just mentioned, most people are focusing on those technical details that it doesn't matter. Where you host your course doesn't generate income for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? What email marketing platform you pick doesn't generate income for you. Focus on income generating activities versus technical details. So income generating activities, marketing, right? Building your audience, consistent content, etc. And then number five is leverage the knowledge and work of other people. You cannot build a 7, 8 figure continuing education course business by yourself. It's just not going to happen. You only have so much knowledge in your head, so you're only going to be able to develop a certain amount of courses. Me personally, I was able to develop something like, oh, I don't even remember at this point, maybe like 8 courses that were just me and nobody else. But our course catalog is 50, 60 courses.
Wow.
And so you have to leverage the knowledge of other people to build additional courses for you. So you just contract out another professional in the space to build the course for you, pay him 5 or 10,000 bucks. They sign the rights over to you. You own it now, and now you can sell it to your heart's content. So if you want to scale a CE business to 7, 8 figures, you have to leverage other people, other professionals in the space. You have to.
So you're saying find the people that are complementary to your core offering, and then now they're part of your ecosystem.
Yeah, correct. They're basically on your faculty staff, essentially, right? They become one of the instructors of your course business. So you just hire them as a contractor. You pay them a flat rate, 5, 10,000 dollars for the course. They sign a contract. Basically, all the rights are yours now, and then you sell it to your heart's content. You could sell, I mean, it could be a break-even investment. That has happened to me before, or it could be something where you make $1 million off of it. I mean, that's a possibility as well.
Because they're
So
still getting the visibility to, if they're offering XYZ services, it's all the leads from the course they'll want to talk to that person.
Potentially. I mean, it depends on it depends on what they're offering, you know. If they're just providing education about a topic or something, no one might really ever reach out to them. But it really just depends on what they're offering. But what you kind of
But
have to
like for a
do though.
marketing one, so to speak, like if you have a graphic designer, video artist, and an AI person, it's like cool. I want them on my faculty. But now, if you want to use them specific, like for you, hey, if you're doing a book, cool. But if you want to do a course, talk to Justin. But then they can reach out to you if they want to actually build it.
Yeah, correct. Right. Yeah, so I guess if you're creating a marketing course about AI or whatever, and you bring in some AI expert to develop the course for you, then yeah, they're going to get visibility, right? So they create a course for you. You're making the money off the course, but yet if someone wants to hire them as a consultant or something, then sure, it starts feeding over to them, right? So it's a win-win for everybody, basically. So yeah, it's a great ecosystem. Now, if you can keep everyone in-house, though hire these people as employees versus just a contractor or something. You can keep all the income, in-house, so to speak. So really just depends on what kind of model you want. But if you're listening to this and you want to develop a professional focused course business, a continuing education course business, let's just say you're just a business owner and you have absolutely no experience in, I don't know, let's just some law topic, and you want to create a continuing education course business for lawyers. You can basically create the continuing education course business, build the foundation, build the business out itself, develop all the marketing materials, develop the value proposition, et cetera. And then you hire a lawyer or lawyers to start building the courses out for you, and you just pay them a flat rate now, and they sign over the IP to you, and now you're making money off of it. So, I mean, I know people who have done that, who've done very, very well.
Oh, so you don't even need to be an attorney to do the attorney course.
No, you can just be the business owner who hires attorneys to do the to create the content.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I know someone who is not in medicine at all. Okay. He is just a business guy. And I think he started off owning a car dealership or something 20, 30 years ago. And he developed a continuing education course business in medicine, and they target medical doctors and so MDs and DOs. And he just started the business and does the marketing materials, he operates the business essentially. And he just hires doctors to come in and do 2, 3, 4 hour webinars. He pays them a couple $1,000 for it. He records them, and now he has a evergreen product now from the recording. And then he, made some money from the actual live webinar itself, and he just pays these guys as a contractor to come in and do these courses. And now he has this library of dozens and dozens of courses, and he has no actual MD on his staff whatsoever. They're just contractors, and the guy's killing it. So,
Thank you for that expert authority insight also, because you're reminding me of someone who they put on good events I used to go to before they retired, but they had professional speakers, like well-known Jack Canfield professional speakers, and they'd bring them in, film them, and then sell the thing. And it's reminding me a lot of what you're saying. You just bring them in, but the IP, I mean, from 30 years, I mean, all the big name speakers you've seen, they probably have. And what they did was film them, and they put on these live events, and guess what? They needed an audience. Well, then it was a killer deal for us to be in the audience to, oh, we get to see so and so, because normally they're only speaking to 2,000 people, and there was maybe 100 or two. So it was like half a day with these people, but they were filming the whole thing to sell it like worldwide. So
yeah. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about webinars and conferences. You can just record those things and package them up, and now you have another product. Like that's the thing, people. Like you guys need to realize something about digital continuing education course businesses.
it's assets.
You're
You're building assets out.
you're building assets out. They're digital assets. They're infinitely replicable. Like, I mean, you don't need to have a warehouse. You don't need to ship these things to people. You don't like, they're just there, and they're so easy to make. So yeah, I mean, the bigger, like the big dogs in the continuing education course space, the big companies, the companies that, the book that you read on how to study for the SAT, those companies. Like those companies are just ran and owned by business people, and they just contract out the actual professionals to create the content. So like you can make a lot of money doing this stuff. It just comes down to that value proposition. You really have to figure out who you're going to target and what it is that you're going to solve. So with that said, I think that people need to realize that there's three models of a continuing education course business. The first model is the value in your product, in your course. The value lies in the actual CE credit or CE hour. The information in the course really doesn't make a difference because most professionals need to have a certain amount of CE credits or hours a year, right? And I'm even guilty of this, and most professionals are. It's the end of the year and your license is up for renewal in January, and you're like, oh shit, I'm short 10 hours. I just need to find a cheap course and get my 10 hours. And so I just go online and I pick the first business that pops up. I just buy a course. I click through it. I don't even read it. I don't even watch it. I get my 10 hours and then I'm good to go. The value in that product was the CE credit or the CE hour. I didn't care about what the information was. I could care less. They could have been completely just talking gibberish to me and I'd have no idea, right? It could have been complete lies and garbage and I would have no idea. I just wanted the CE credit or CE hour. So that's the first model. The pro of that model is that it's easy to sell those courses because people just need the CE credits and CE hours. But the con is that those courses are cheap. You can sell this for 50 bucks, $100. You're not going to sell those courses for $1,000. People aren't paying you $1,000 for just 10 hours of CE. They're not going to. So that takes me to model number two. Model number two is the value of your product lies in the actual information. And that's the model that I advocate for, and that's what I teach. That's where that value proposition comes in. The information in the course is truly transformational to the professional, right? It helps them make more money. It helps them start a business. It helps them become more competent. It helps them learn a new skill so they can get a new promotion. Something transformational, something that's actually valuable. A business like that, you do not have to offer CE hours or CE credits. So with the Elite Nurse Practitioner, we weren't accredited for the first 2 years, and it was $1 million business. I didn't offer a single CE credit or CE hour because the value lied in the information. And then model number three is a hybrid of both, where you're providing valuable information, but you also offer CE. That's the model that you have to have for a 7 to 8 figure continuing education course business, unless you go with model one and you just have a lot of marketing dollars and you just pump it out. Now that model does work, but you're not building an audience with that model. People just are doing it for the CE credit, CE hour.
So
So hope that
wouldn't
makes sense.
Model 3 be the best? You just, if you might not get it out of the gate, it's going to be a natural progression from 2.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. So that's kind of the model that I recommend to people when I consult with them. I mean, I've consulted with people who do model number one and, I mean, it works, but that's a quantity game, not a quality
Yeah,
game.
that
It's
doesn't.
quantity. Yeah, yeah. You need tens of thousands of students to make money. But yeah, it starts with model number two is what I recommend to people. I basically say, let's develop a solid value proposition. Let's solve a real problem. Let's do something that's transformational for people. Let's test the market. Let's send it out in the world and let's see what the response is. When you start getting and you'll start selling courses because people want the information if it's transformational. They don't care about the CE credit. And then let's start selling it that way. And when you start seeing comments and emails start coming in, hey, are you not accredited? Do you offer CE hours or CE credits? That's the point. Then you become accredited because now people are asking about it. So yeah, so you can do model two and have $1 million course business, and then eventually you should move into model three and become accredited. I had a client who launched a course business in May, and he absolutely killed it. He didn't offer any kind of official CE credit or CE hour whatsoever, but the information he was teaching was transformational in nature. And he made it was I don't even remember it was $300,000 in the first month or something ridiculous. So he's becoming accredited now because it's worth his while now. It's a proven
Yeah.
model. Yeah.
So, let me ask you a couple more things as far as that. Once you get CE approved, accredited, are you saying you should focus on one course and drive that to multiple seven, eight figures, or are you saying you should have multiple courses to achieve that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be extremely difficult to build a 7 or 8 figure course business, continuing education course business with just one course. I think it's probably going to be almost impossible. Because if you're targeting a specific profession, then there's going to be different subspecialties within that profession. There's going to be people who are working in different environments. And you need to create courses that are going to be applicable to as many of those professionals as you possibly can. And then to extend the lifetime value of that customer, you need to build other courses too that complement the original flagship course. Um, Building a 7 or 8 figure continuing education course business by just a one-stop shop kind of a thing where people just buy your course one time and that's it, that's going to be extremely difficult to achieve. So you really got to have more courses to extend that lifetime value of the customer. So as an example, I create a course on, how to start a medical practice. Okay, so 2 years later, people start this medical practice and they're starting to make money now. And well, now they're having to deal with the headaches of taxes as a business owner, right? They don't want to give their money to Uncle Sam. I don't blame them. And so I create a course on how to lower your taxes as a medical professional entrepreneur. Boom, that's a complimentary course, and I made a shit ton of money with it, right? So like Pro Course Start, I have my Pro Course Start blueprint, which teaches you how to start a continuing education course business from start to finish to actually selling the CE business. So like I teach you how to start it, and I
Oh,
teach you what
and
you need to do
exit.
to and sell this business to private equity. Like, I mean, it's start to exit strategy, basically. Like it is a comprehensive blueprint on how to do this. My next course that I'm going to create is going to complement this by it's going to be an advanced marketing course on how to utilize artificial intelligence and how to really become a marketing expert. That's going to complement that course, right? And then I'll create additional courses that, down the road as as this new business grows, that will complement that original course so I can extend that lifetime value of the
You're
customer.
still in
So
that medical ecosystem.
it's not medical. Oh, no, no. I mean, no, no. So this new business is, I just teach professionals on how to start a continuing education
Oh, for
course business.
professionals, it's not specific to medical.
No, no, because the
Okay.
process is exactly the same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, a nurse practitioner, a doctor, an accountant, a business owner. It's the same process, guys. It doesn't matter. It's just going to be what your topic is. It's going to be different. Otherwise, it's the same thing.
Well, that's good. Good flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to start a new business that I could target more people with. Like the elite nurse practitioner, I just target nurse practitioners. That's only 400,000 people. I wanted to start a business that was going to be a little bit more, a little bit more broad in nature. And so, my new course, it's applicable to anybody who wants to start a continuing education course business. It really doesn't matter what your background is. It's a business course. You know what I mean? It's a business model, so it's replicable to anyone who wants to start that business.
That's exciting. Well, I'm glad you're having success with it. And I mean, insane amount of value you added to us. So thank you for sharing it with us. And um, I got a couple more questions as far as we're going to have a fun one here. Not that this whole thing hasn't been fun, but yellow or black?
Let's go with black.
Heck yeah. All right. Um, if you didn't go down this road, what else do you like to do? What do you think you'd be doing?
If I didn't go down this road, oh man. I mean, I think that if I didn't become a nurse practitioner, I wouldn't even be here today. I would never have started this business, right? So, I probably would have ended up going into I probably would have ended up going into finance or something. I probably would have
Okay.
ended up being a hedge fund manager or something. I'm a finance dork, so that's probably what I would have done.
Very cool. We're going to thank our sponsor and come back for the imperfect action round. All right. And we're back with the imperfect action round. Justin, are you ready to take imperfect action?
Yeah, sure.
All right, fast 60-second answers. The first one is, what's the fastest path to the cash?
Fastest path to the cash is to leverage your knowledge,